Chapter 1133 is here, and it delivered on emotions better than I ever could have expected. Obviously, I didn't predict that Saul was still alive. I was completely shocked when Oda revealed that to us chapters and chapters ago, like a year ago. Oda revealed this to us, and since then I've been anticipating this chapter, which doesn't seem that long in the scheme of One Piece, and yet sometimes I just get nervous about payoff, and I'm so grateful that in this chapter Oda just took his time. He gave almost the entire chapter to nothing but Robin and Saul's reunion. It was slow, it was evenly paced, it reminded us of the emotions that have been building for so many years, and then delivered even better than I had hoped for, honestly. I was sincerely nervous when we learned about Saul falling right before we were supposed to have this reunion. I thought, surely Oda is not going to kill him right before we get our big them returning to each other. And I didn't think that he would, but I did think that we were going to get Saul on his deathbed and Robin and Saul were going to have their last moment together. And that's not what it was. It was something so much better than I ever could have imagined. But I'm getting way ahead of myself, so we'll go back to the beginning because Oda is so fantastic at hitting these emotional beats, letting them breathe, and paying them off on the level that he did in this chapter. Honestly, this entire chapter was just, it was perfect. Like, I don't have any notes for this chapter other than it was perfect. So we start off by remembering the past with Robin. We see the O'Hara incident and some of the propaganda that was being given during that time. This idea of this 8-year-old that's done all this harm, that's destroyed this island, sunk ships, that is going around killing people, and how quickly people are accepting this and turning on her. We see what people are saying. She's got the brain of a veteran scholar, but no human emotions to go with it. Look at that bounty. Grab your guns and let's hunt her down. Don't be fooled by appearances. Your mercy is wasted on her. And you see these people getting their weapons and rallying together to form this mob to go against this child. And during all this dialogue, while we're watching them say these things, we're also seeing the reality. And this is something that Oda is so good at, is showing us what the idea is that's kind of out and accepted in the world, and then seeing reality. And the reality is a scared, very traumatized young girl picking through garbage, sharing garbage with a dog, crying, barely surviving as she's just lost everything and everyone she loves, as she wants to die. And as people have completely turned on her and view her as a monster. She's running from them, she's hiding, and the most stark image we got in all of this was her at this cliffside, looking over the edge, thinking about how she just wants to die. Why do I have to live? Why do I have to survive this? And it's the voices of her mom and of Saul and the people in her life that she loved that begged her, please live. Keep going. You will find family. Just keep moving forward. And that's the only thing that kept her going all these years. And she didn't even believe in that dream the whole time. I mean, we've seen Robin's story. We saw that eventually she just gave up on that belief at all, but we see what kept her alive until she finally did meet the Straw Hats, and she finally did get that hope for her life. And getting that kind of, that reminder, but from a different angle, right before we get the payoff that frankly, I did not expect. I mean, I know, like a year ago, we were told that Saul was still alive, and then we were all like, oh, okay, we're getting a reunion. I know that. But all I'm saying is that Oda gave us the I want to live scene so long ago. And even now, it's one of the most iconic and loved scenes in the entire series. And that scene paid off O'Hara already. And the fact that this many years later, like decades later, Oda is still building on that and still adding things that make that scene more impactful than it already had. It's already been paid off. It's already had its full impact, but Oda's still returning to it and still adding to it and making it an even better scene in retrospect. I didn't expect it, but these are the storytelling beats that make me love Oda's writing so much. Island clouds, sea clouds, bubbles, rainbows, hovering, the support of all these things. This island can support all these things. It's one of my patrons, Kirby, put it really well, that this is a culmination of so many things, so many aspects of the world and other islands that we've seen throughout this series. It's all culminating here on Elbaf. And to add to Kirby's thought, so too, emotionally, when we enter this island, we see so much beauty in the technology that they're using, the stuff that's familiar to us, the new things that we're seeing, like the sunstones, in the architecture and the waterfall flowing down and creating its own beach of its own kind. All of these beautiful elements, as well as amazing world building things that are coming together, and emotional beats, story beats that are familiar to us, that are important to us, coming to an even stronger culmination here than we've ever seen in the story before. It's like entering Elbaf doesn't just feel like a fable. It doesn't just feel like this fairy tale beautiful land, but it's pulling on things that we've been waiting on for so long, or that we've been invested in for so long, that makes Elbaf, it just makes the entrance of Elbaf feel significantly more special than other islands. I love this big scene of them all gathered around the pub with Roto in the background having been severely punished for his nonsense. But everybody's celebrating, everyone wants to have a feast, they want to celebrate the Straw Hats, they want to welcome them in. It's like Elbaf has been waiting for our arrival for as long as we've been waiting for our arrival on Elbaf. And I love that as soon as they enter, Dr. Saul is waiting for them. They're already ready to take everyone to the library, or rather to take Robin to the library. It's like, okay, we got you here, let's go ahead, let's take you straight to Saul, straight to the library. This reunion is happening faster than we thought, but it's like Saul knows exactly what Robin would want when entering, and so they're just ready to shepherd her on in. And everyone is backing this up, right? Like Luffy says, listen, Robin, the thing about being a captain is you have to pay your respects to everyone who's helped out your crew. It's one of those moments where you see Luffy really being a captain, where he's like, yes, this is important. This is something that we really need to do. And even Dory and Bragi are saying, yeah, we'll postpone the feast, no problem, we need to do this. Like everybody is agreeing to shepherding this moment forward. It matters to everyone. And I feel like I've been harping on this a lot, and I know a lot of you all have been too, but you know, one thing that Egghead was really lacking was really good crew moments. We had the whole crew together on one island and in the same place for a lot of the arc, but still, they didn't really feel like they were being themselves totally. It just kind of felt like they were props rather than getting a lot of really strong crew moments, which is what a lot of us love about the series, one of the many things that we love about the series so much. And I've been really hoping that Elbaf would have more of those. And with Luffy, you know, the line that I just quoted, but then also as soon as they get there, then Luffy's like, all right, let's grab him, let's go, let's get the feast, like task, let's do the thing. And Nami pulling Luffy back, and you can see him even in the background when Robin is like, oh, my heart is racing, like when she's really anticipating this. You can see Nami has tackled Luffy down and is holding him to the ground. And I feel like this is so Straw Hat of Luffy to acknowledge that this is the right thing to do, but not fully understand the moment and end up almost ruining it, and Nami has to hold him back, and she's the one that's like, no, this is Robin's moment, let her have her moment. And oh my goodness, I love the little things about Robin that show how significant this is for her. The fact that she's smiling constantly through this whole anticipation, all the buildup of this. Obviously that she cut her hair in anticipation, that she changed her clothes into a black dress like what she was wearing when she was a child, that her heart is racing, and you can see that she's just like, whew. But also even as she's walking, like the emphasis on her steps, it's like I can feel the buildup for this scene. I also really love when they come running in and they're like, oh no, Saul's fallen. It's not gonna work out. He's dying or something. And the whole crew is like, really? Now? After all of this, now this happens? And I'm like, yeah, same though. That's basically the exact reaction I had when we first got the panel saying that Saul fell. And again, I couldn't be more happy that Oda actually added this, because it was so much better this way, so much more than what I actually expected. And what it truly was a reminder of their first encounter. It was a reminder, it was a reenactment of the first time they met, when Saul was injured and he was on the beach and a little girl approached him, and so he didn't know what to do, and so he awkwardly was just like, rah! And now he's gonna see this little girl again and he's not really sure what to do, so he's like, okay, we'll just do the same thing again because I don't know. Like, it's really cute how awkward it is. And the fact that Robin just instantly sees right through it, she knows exactly what he's doing, and she's like, I'll go to him. You all stay back. I'm gonna handle this. And she just walks slowly up to him, just like that old chapter, which I didn't even remember this, but I went back and read the chapter because my patrons are awesome and they told me exactly where to go. So I went back and reread it before I sat down to film this. And it is perfectly reminiscent, with the perfect punch at the end, with everything playing out the same. She doesn't react once again, but this time he says, how's that? Did I shock you? And then he stops and he goes, what a shocker. And he remembers her as a child, and he sees her as she is now, and he's so happy to see her again. Sorry, I wasn't sure how I should greet you. And it's like, the passage of time really hits him there, but it's so satisfying to see how much she put into being remembered, looking the same so that he wouldn't forget. And like, clearly he hasn't forgotten. Clearly he still has her very vivid in his mind, but what surprises him is to see her as an adult, to say that her eyes remind him of Olivia's eyes, and then remembering that Olivia said, you're gonna understand someday, you're gonna understand what we're fighting for. And then Saul tells her about the part of Vegapunk's message that was reminiscent of Ohara, and he's validating what they fought for. The scholars of Ohara sent out their voices. He gave his life to pass those voices on. It's a huge step forward, made possible by Ohara's and Vegapunk's sacrifices. I'm sure it means the change for the future. And then she validates him back. Your sacrifice too. And, you know, when they first met, he was injured, and now she's acknowledging his scars. And he's acknowledging her scars too, about all the history that she had, everything that she was put through, and how that made him so mad to see the reports. But this is the different Robin from the one that he knew as a child. And now all that pain that I'm sure he was thinking that about what she was going through as a child, like we got to see at the beginning of the chapter, him bringing it up, she just smiles and says, I don't want to talk about the bad things. Instead, Saul, I want to hear nice things about how I survived. And he begged her to survive. And now she's returning to him and telling him, I don't really care to talk about the scars. I just want to talk about how I survived. And to actually have Robin returning to one of the voices that kept her alive when she nearly didn't survive all that pain, to be able to return to one of those voices that kept her going and to say, I survived. That it took so many years. I mean, we watched it. We saw Robin lived a lot of years just barely surviving and not really having any hope, but relying on the voices of the people that wanted her to live. That was what kept her living. But she did find that life. She found the Nakama. She found her purpose. She's pursuing her dream of knowledge. And now she's returning to the man with the books. She's returning to the man who's teaching history and keeping the books and telling him, I survived, and that's what I want to focus on. That's what I want to talk about right now. It's just like, it's so much more than I ever expected out of this meeting. It's like, it's so simple, but it was given just the right amount of time to just hold so much meaning. And I really expect a lot, like I expected a quick meeting between Robin and Saul, and then he would die because Oda said he fell, and that's just rude. But instead, probably what we're gonna get is we're gonna get not just this reunion, but Robin and Saul studying together, probably studying the Void Century together, the books that were recovered. They're going to get to pore over those together. It's like, it feels dumb. Like, I feel like such a sap right now, but it's just, it's so meaningful. Bless you for being alive, Robin. 22 whole years. Bless you for surviving. Bless you for coming to see me. And Robin, we get to see her go from smiling to crying and telling him that she missed him and that he missed her. And as I'm just a mess, I mean, I was unwell reading this chapter. As I'm a mess, I loved that, you know, I'm focused on Robin and Saul, and then I look down at the panel beneath, and the whole crowd is a mess too, and it makes me feel validated. Like, I really feel like I was acknowledged in this chapter with that panel of everybody else losing their minds over this scene too, except Luffy, who's just smiling, just happy to see this. Really, really acted like a captain in this chapter, and it's very beautiful to see. Anyway, I'm gonna show you the art piece and then I'm gonna leave because this is pitiful. Again, T-Scene is off for the month of December. She'll be back in January, so Chirag has stepped in and he's doing the art pieces for December. And he has delivered, of course, on this emotional scene. I really especially love in this, among many things that I love about this art piece, but I really especially love that Robin in the up close scene, the right now scene, she still kind of looks like a kid. Like, she looks somehow both as an adult and as a child here. I don't know how he did it, but he managed to capture both sides of Robin, both moments in time for her as she's holding on to Saul and living in the now but remembering the then. And then I also love the pictures, the sketches, kind of outlining everything of their history as they're crying together now. Just a beautiful art piece. Again, Chirag will be linked in the description of this video, so do check him out, show him support. This chapter had me a mess. It was not cute. It was a 10 out of 10 for me. This reunion was so much, it delivered so much more than I expected, and I had pretty high expectations. I love that our entrance to Elbaf has been so whimsical and beautiful and has felt really magical entering this world, and then very early on, or entering into this island, and then very early on, we get this. It's almost like a promise from Oda. Like, I know that sounds sappy, but it feels like a promise that Elbaf is going to deliver on all this buildup we've had for it. You know, all this time we've been waiting for Elbaf. It's like, don't worry, we're here. And it's gonna be pretty special. I'm really excited. I know that the emotions were a little bit much in this video, so I apologize for that, but I'm having a hard time holding back on this chapter. I hope you loved it too. Please do chat with me more in the comments. I would love to discuss this chapter more. I know people are talking about Saul potentially being the man with the burn scars. Maybe that's true. I don't feel like we got that confirmed or not confirmed in this chapter. I mean, he certainly has burn scars, but also, you know, we already knew that he would. I mostly wanted to focus on the emotional impact that this chapter had. So please do chat with me more in the comments. I would love to discuss it with you more. I'll see you again soon. Bye.